Oh, hello. Welcome to Gourmet, the channel where I cook my way through all the cookbooks I own and have never used. We are still working with delicious Disney desserts where we'll be making. Here we go. I forgot how to hold it for a second. Some honey crunch cake. This is what it looks like. So I have to say, it looks really cool, good. What? I'm keeping all this in. Um, really, I wanted to make it because it has, they call it honey crunch, but I think it's basically kind of like that honeycomb candy you make. So I'm excited to try to make that. I've never made it before. But let's get started. So we start off this recipe by melting together some butter and milk. We have a half cup of butter in here, which is about 8 tablespoons. It's like a stick of butter normally, but I'm using that like fancy European style butter, so it looks a little different, but that's all I had. And then we need a half cup of milk. So I'm just gonna measure out a half cup and pour that in there. I'm using that like Fairlife milk again because we're trying to be lactose free. We're not succeeding. Cheese gets me every time. But we're going to let this melt. And while we do that, we're going to go ahead and kind of get some of the other stuff ready. So we've got all the rest of the ingredients out for our actual cake batter. I'm going to go ahead and give this a stir. The butter was supposed to be cut into pieces before you put it in here because we're obviously not trying to burn anything or boil anything. We're just melting the butter into the milk. But I didn't feel like cutting it, so it is one big piece of butter, and that's just going to have to be how it is. Now we do need to go ahead and, as much as I normally don't do this part in a recipe, I'm going to do it today. We are going to sift together flour and baking powder and set that aside. So I've got my bowl here. I'm just going to go ahead and measure out 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. So maybe to give myself some room currently, we'll do this. Here's my measuring cup, somewhere on here, 1.5, and perfect. Okay, so we have our flour. We only made a small mess. I'm going to give my butter a stir. I'm going to go ahead and just pour all of the 1.5 cups of flour into my little sifter, and I'm going to go ahead and sift this together. So let's get out a teaspoon, if I can find one. Here we go. I realized I started this and half of my dishes are in the dishwasher, so we might be making some odd measurements today. But we're going to use 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And this is just like the regular baking powder that everybody has at the store, nothing fancy. We'll sift all that together, and then this gets set to the side. So now we're going to go ahead and get everything ready to go into our mixer. So I'm going to kind of move some stuff around for that. Unfortunately, I don't have the glass mixing bowl. I only have my metal one today. So I think we're going to be mixing off camera, and I'll just show you what it looks like in between steps. What we need to do in our mixing bowl is we're going to take our whisk attachment, which I will say I'm not used to using for cakes, but it says to use the whip attachment, so I'm taking that as a whisk. And we are going to go ahead and put in 3 large eggs into our bowl, and we are going to start mixing them. Okay, so our eggs are whipped. We are going to go ahead and measure out the next part. We just need to whip in a little bit of salt. So here's the salt once again I'm using. We need a 1/4 teaspoon. I'm just kind of shook it in there. You guys have seen me measure a 1/4 teaspoon. We all know that doesn't really get measured. And we're going to whip the eggs again. So you can't really see what's happening in here. But I wanted to kind of show you so you can see like what we're measuring and doing. We need to measure out a full cup of sugar. So I'm just going to measure that out real quick in my measuring cup. So we have our eggs going. And now we're just going to it says to slowly pour in and whip in the sugar. So I'm going to turn the mixer on higher, I guess. We've got it. Well, it's not very high. It's probably like a 5. And then I'm just going to whip in the sugar. Then we get to add in some almond extract and vanilla extract. So I can't tell what this cake is going to taste like. I have no idea. The it seems like it's going to be maybe, oh, what's the word? Kind of like a funfetti cake because funfetti has that almond extract in it as well as vanilla, but I don't know for sure. It's going to be sweet, but I'm very intrigued by this cake, which is why I wanted to make it. Okay, so I think it's been about 30 seconds. Our eggs, you can kind of see they're nice and bright yellow, and they're a little whipped. So I just went ahead and stopped that, and I'm going to add in 3/4 of a teaspoon of almond extract and a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. I feel like this is something I don't want to mess up, so I'm going to go ahead and measure this. But I've got my almond extract here, and we need 3/4 of a teaspoon, a little extra because I saw a drip from the side of the bottle. And then we need a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. So of course I'm using my homemade vanilla extract. There we go. Okay, that was a 1/4 teaspoon. I wonder what it smells like. It smells like almond. It smells good. So now we get to slowly mix in our butter and milk. Let's go ahead and slowly do that. So I'm using a stand mixer, and the book says to specifically gently whip in the egg and flour mixture, or the egg and milk, and then we're going to gently and gradually add in the flour mixture. So I've got the flour here, and we're just going to slowly start adding it in. It looks really good, I have to say. The batter looks nice. I think we're pretty much done mixing the batter. Okay, I think that's it. I think this looks good. So I've got our cake pan ready to go. I went ahead and, once again, we're following directions. So I greased it with Pam, and then I just poured in a little bit of flour and shook it around and dumped it out over the sink. And now we are going to pour in our batter, and we're going to cook this at 375 for about 20 to 25 minutes. I'm just giving the batter one little bit of a stir to kind of make sure it's all incorporated. And then we're just going to pour. So we are ready to make our honeycomb, our honey crunch. Once again, I think this is like honeycomb, where you basically make caramel and then you add in some baking soda to it and it puffs up. I've never done it. I've seen it done a lot. So this is an experiment. We're going to see how it goes. We've got 3 tablespoons of water already in here. We need to measure out a cup of sugar. So let me just go ahead and get that measured real quick. There we go, a cup of sugar, which works for us because we are now out of sugar. I might have to go to the store because I need another half cup for something later on. Oops. Okay, and we need 3 tablespoons of corn syrup. So here's just, regular corn syrup. I don't have my tablespoon. That is in the dishwasher, so we're using a half tablespoon. And we're going to go ahead and turn this on. And I'm going to get a thermometer. And we need to get this temperature. We need to kind of stir it and get this temperature to 310 degrees. Here, what I have done is laid out a large cookie sheet with a piece of tinfoil at the bottom and then covered with parchment paper. This is so that we can pour this right on here when it's finished. The recipe says to do it on a Silpat mat, which is like one of those non-stick rubber mats that you see people use sometimes. I don't own one of those, so I put parchment paper and then I lightly sprayed it with some Pam, because in theory that will be kind of similar. I don't know. We're kind of trying out here. It might be so wrong, but that's what I thought would work. And while we do that, oh, that was loud. While we wait for that, I'm going to get out a little bowl, and I'm going to go ahead and measure out 3 2¼ teaspoons of baking soda, but it says specifically it's supposed to be sifted. So I'm going to just do this in this too big of a bowl, but it's the only bowl I have currently. So I have made caramel before. And all I know from caramel is kind of that, like, the crystallization is what matters. And there's like all these things about like you can kind of see sort of maybe on the sides of the pan, like little dots forming from the sugar. And I've always read that like those, when you're making caramel, you don't really want those in there. You want to be careful with like the water amount and all of that. So I don't know how much that plays into this. I'm assuming a little bit, but I don't really know. Like I said, this is kind of why I wanted to make the cake. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really care about the cake portion of this. I really just wanted an excuse to make this honey crunch because I want to know if it is like that honeycomb candy. And if it's not called honeycomb, then I don't know what I'm thinking of. I've got this on the bigger burner rather than the small one because I thought it would help with like heat distribution. But that might be the wrong thing. It's just, if you look at the picture, right? Like the picture is clearly golden and we're not there yet. We only have 60 degrees to go. So I don't want to heat this up too fast and get it past that point, but I also want it to be colored. So I've lowered the temperature. The book does not say how long this should take, nor does it actually say to have this be like a golden brown color. I just know from the picture and from what I think this is, that's what we want to do. I just think we got too hot too quick. We've definitely passed 310 degrees, but we're finally starting to get some color on this. So I might be adding the baking sugar, or oh my gosh, the baking soda in when it's a little too hot because I don't know if I can bring this temperature down really without messing up the caramel. We'll have to see about that. But the fact that it's finally getting color means we're on the right track. It's just, I don't know if my pan's too big. I'm not 100% sure why this is like taking so long because I feel like it should have kind of been done, but we are working on maybe like a lower temperature than it wants. I just didn't want it to burn. But it's starting to smell like caramel, so that's a good thing. And it's starting to get that nice color to it. We're getting somewhere. The cake is out of the oven. I didn't have space on the stove, so I just went ahead and threw it on the counter behind me. But it looks really nice. I cooked it for 20 minutes on 370. I think we're pretty close to being able to add in the baking sugar. Oh my, why do I keep saying that? The baking soda. That's what it is. This is getting a nice like gold color. I think we're pretty close. I think I'm just gonna do it. If it's messed up, it's messed up. But our temperature is like 310 degrees or something. So what do we need to do? We need to whisk in the baking soda and then turn off the burner. So because I'm using an electric stove, I'm going to turn off the burner first and then pour in our baking soda and whisk, whisk, whisk. And let it rise, but it's going to rise too much. Oh no. And then we're just going to pour it out. That's what we're going to do. This is how we're doing it. I definitely burnt something on accident. I don't know what. I can smell that. But now this gets to cool. And yeah. Oh. Yeah, I think we just got a little too hot at the end there. I think that's all that was. Okay, so here is the honey crisp that we made. It's pretty cool. I clearly didn't let all of the baking soda dissolve, but that's okay. And you can see it you can definitely see where it got a little burnt. But I'm just going to go ahead and crack this up and see. I think we went a little too far, but it feels good. It smells good. It definitely needs to dry out a little bit. It's very sticky. I should probably set that to the side. But we're just kind of supposed to crumble this into small pieces, which these are not necessarily small. Okay, well, we have bad news. I just tried a piece, and it's definitely burnt, like burnt all the way. That does not taste good. So what I think we're going to do is clean the pot that this was in, and we're just going to try it again. I don't think I'm going to film it, but I'm a little disappointed. I'm not going to lie, but that's okay. We're going to throw this away because it's truly bad. And we'll do better next time. That's what we're going to tell ourselves. So we're going to just go ahead and make our simple, our honey simple syrup. I love a good simple syrup. They're so easy to make. So we just have a half cup of water here in the saucepan, and I'm trying to open up this sugar and not get it everywhere, but I don't know if I'm going to actually do a good job. We need a half cup of sugar. To make simple syrups, you just do equal parts sugar and water and melt them into each other. But this one's going to be a honey simple syrup. I'll clean all this up in a minute. Oh, what's in there? I think that's paper. Yep, that's definitely paper. From the package. Paper with glue. How fun. But basically, you just make honey, water, or you mix in equal parts of sugar and water, and you dissolve the sugar into the water. You can do it into the microwave, or you can do it on the stove. And then we are going to go ahead and add in 2 teaspoons of honey. So this is the honey I got. I do like this blend. It's I Heart Bees, I guess. I don't know. But they do a nice, like, local Florida allergy blend. Once the water and everything is boiling, we're going to stir in our honey. Super easy. We love to see it because I'm I'm remaking our honey crisp because that was such a bad flavor. And I did get peanuts at the store. So if the second round does not go well as well, then we're going to have peanuts in our honey crunch cake. And we're not going to have honey crunch. But I'm hoping the second round of caramel goes well. We were so close. We missed it by probably like 30 seconds, I think. Like, that's how close we were. Okay, and then we just need a couple teaspoons, so I'm just gonna... There we go. I think that's fine. I turned off the heat. I'm gonna give this a nice stir. Let that honey incorporate. And this is the honey simple syrup. It's so easy to make. I love doing these. I make these sometimes for drinks, just for fun. So, our second batch came out better looking. But there's a fundamental problem with it, and that is I don't like the way it tastes. It tastes much better than the first one, but there's something off about it. It doesn't taste great. Let's just put it that way. So we might be slightly pivoting. I'm still going to make the cake. I'm still going to go on with everything. But I think what I'm going to do is try something slightly different. And I got it at the grocery store because I thought I might struggle with it again. I got honey roasted peanuts to sprinkle on the cake and sprinkle in the cake in replacement of this. Because obviously this is supposed to be kind of crunchy. I don't know. I thought this would be more like a praline. I thought this would be like a caramel. It's just neither of those things. I'm assuming it's user error. But I cannot be bothered to make another batch of this. I don't want to make a third batch. So I'm not going to. We'll do a little bit of the cake with this, but we're not doing a lot. So what we're doing instead of making another batch of honey crunch, we're just going to go on and we're going to make the frosting for this cake. Because I can't be bothered anymore. Like I said, I'm so over this. Um, so I am gonna go ahead and start the whipped cream. Did I just say all of that? I've lost my mind. I don't actually know what I'm saying anymore. Yeah, so let's just get let's just get this whipped cream started. This is a whipped cream frosting that we're gonna, it's like a honey whipped cream. So I think it's going to be interesting. It sounds like it's going to be pretty good. Uh, we need 3/4 of a cup of confectioner sugar. So I just got powdered sugar here. And then we need 3 cups of heavy whipped cream. So this is my whipped cream. And I'm just going to go ahead and measure out 3 cups. And lastly, we are going to add in honey, but we're not going to add the honey yet. So we're going to get this whipped pretty much all the way. And then we get to add in 5 tablespoons of honey. Okay, so this has gone poorly. And I just made this whole cake. And I don't think I filmed a single bit of it. I'm not sure where I stopped filming. So what we did was, I'll just recap it real quick. I can't believe I did that. Oh, this is really taking a turn for the worst. This just almost went as bad as it could. So we had our cake, we cut it in half, we frosted it with whipped cream. We made like that honey whipped cream frosting. Pretty sure you saw that part. And then in between the layers of cake is the layers of honeycomb. And then because I thought the honeycomb tasted bad and I just don't like it, I used peanuts for the rest of it. So we did a layer of whipped cream and then we sprinkled on the honeycomb and we sprinkled on peanuts. And then we did another layer of whipped cream to cover those. And then I've just been frosting the outside of this with the whipped cream. And then I sprinkled where I think the honeycomb is. It's somewhere in this area. And then I sprinkled the rest of it with peanuts because that's what I wanted. And I know it's kind of weird to have the peanuts on it, but my thought was the honeycomb's kind of big. So the peanuts are kind of the same size as the honeycomb. And a peanut butter cake isn't weird. So it might be weird to have just plain peanuts, but I think it's going to be fine. Everything is sweet. Everything's got honey on it. So we're going to give it a try. The end of this video has just taken such a turn. So after everything that's just happened, we're just going to go ahead and give this a try. This is what our cake slice looks like. You can see it actually looks really good. That cake looks delicious. We sprinkle, I think I just forgot to even say this part, but each layer has that honey simple syrup kind of brushed on top of it. So I think minus the honeycomb, this is actually going to taste really good. So I'm going to try it without the honeycomb first. That's delicious. Now I'm going to try it with the honeycomb. The honeycomb's not bad in it, but I still don't fully like it. I'm going to see if I can find a slice with peanuts. Okay, so final thoughts on this one. The cake is so good itself. Like, the whipped cream is really good. The cake is really good. I think the honey simple syrup adds so much to it. I do agree with the recipe where like I kind of want a little bit of a crunch in it. And I think that's where the peanuts come in. The peanuts really do add a nice flavor and texture to this. I think without them, I don't know how to say this without it sounding weird, but I think it would be almost too soft. The crunch is really good, but I hate the honey crunch. I don't like it. It was not worth all the effort that went into it. And it might be something I make again one day, but not anytime soon. My kitchen's an absolute mess. I've used so many dishes for this for kind of like an okay payoff. I'm having a hard time filming the ending of this. My phone died. I can't get the the tripod in the right angle. This is I'm done. I'm going to pour myself a lemonade. I'm going to put some rum in it. I'm calling it a day. This is, I don't think I've had a video go this bad ever. I think this is the first video where I'm like, oh, I can't. I can't. So yeah, ingredients easy to find. The directions, honestly, the directions are easy to follow. It's the honey crunch that I struggled with, that I think most people are gonna struggle with. And so maybe there could be a little bit more direction in that, but I don't think they're bad directions. I just think I maybe need more. The cake is delicious. I hate the honey crunch. I'm really trying. I'm just mad now. So I want to give this one like a 5.5 or a 6. Realistically, if the honey crunch hadn't been involved, I think this is probably like a 9. I would say it's probably a 9. I like the peanuts in it. You can add those or leave those off. If you know how to make honeycomb slash honey crunch, by all means, probably do it. It's probably going to be great. It's not for me. I'm ready to end this. I've got so many dishes to do, and I don't really want to do them right now. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.